Research is what everybody else has seen and thinking what nobody else has thought. This gathering is arranged for such imaginative, creative, and curious minds to come together and take forward the research drive. Good morning, one and all. I, Dr. Suhas Kaushik, faculty in the Department of Mechanical and Industrial Engineering, welcome you all to MIT Research Conclave 2025. MIT Research Conclave is an initiative by the Office of the Associate Director, Research and Consultancy, with objectives of creating awareness about the research activities of the Institute, providing opportunity for faculty and students to come together, interact and network to inspire researchers to initiate research-based startups and, in summary, promote the research culture among students and faculty members of MIT. Ladies and gentlemen, we have with us eminent personalities gracing the occasion who have made their mark in the world through their research acumen. We have with us Lieutenant General Dr. M.D. Venkatesh, Vice Chancellor of Mahe Manipal as our chief guest, and Dr. Anurag Kumar, INSA Distinguished Professor, IISc Bengaluru as our guest of honor. Presiding today's event is Commander Dr. Anil Rana, Director, MIT Manipal. We also have with us Dr. Chandrakala CB, Joint Director, MIT Manipal. Dr. Ashok Rao, Associate Director, Central Analytical Instrumentation Facility. Dr. Dhanya Sunil, Associate Director, Research and Consultancy. And many more eminent personalities and university officials, head of the departments, faculty members, and research scholars. Welcome, one and all. At the outset, I request all the dignitaries to proceed for the floral tribute to Dr. T.M.A. Pai, the founder of Mahe Institutions, and I kindly request Dr. Ashok Rao and Dr. Dhanya Sunil to escort the dignitaries. Thank you, everyone. I once again request Dr. Ashok Rao and Dr. Dhanya Sunil to escort the dignitaries onto the dais. Thank you, everyone. Before we move towards the proceedings of the day, it is righteous to seek the blessings of the Divine Almighty. I invite Dr. Shilpa Suresh, faculty in the Department of Electronics, to render the invocation. I request the audience to kindly remain seated during the invocation.
मैत्रीं भजत अखिलहृजेत्रीं मैत्रीं भजत अखिलहृजेत्रीं आत्मवदेव परानपि पश्यत आत्मवदेव परानपि पश्यत युद्धं त्यजत स्पर्धां त्यजत युद्धं त्यजत स्पर्धां त्यजत त्यजत परेष्वक्रम आक्रमणं मैत्रीं भजत अखिलहृजेत्रीं मैत्रीं भजत अखिलहृजेत्रीं जननी पृथ्वी कामदुःखास्ते जननी पृथ्वी कामदुःखास्ते जनको देवः सकलदयालु दाम्यददत्त दयत्वं जनत दाम्यददत्त दयत्वं जनत श्रेयों भूयात् सकलजनानां श्रेयों भूयात् सकलजनानां मैत्रीं भजत अखिलहृजेत्रीं मैत्रीं भजत अखिलहृजेत्रीं
Thank you, Dr. Shilpa, for the melodious rendition. May I now request Dr. Ashok Rao, Associate Director, Central Analytical Instrumentation Facility, MIT, to formally welcome the gathering. Over to you, sir.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. This is my privilege to welcome you all for the opening ceremony of MIT Research Conclave 2025. In fact, it's a calendar year, and this is the third edition of such events. So first of all, I would like to welcome our respected Vice Chancellor, Lieutenant General M.D. Venkatesh, for accepting our invitation to be the chief guest for the inaugural session. Sir, you are the source of constant inspiration for all of us. I welcome you, sir, for this event and gracing the occasion. We are indeed very fortunate to have with us Dr. Anurag Kumar, INSA Distinguished Professor and former Director of ISC Bangalore, for accepting our invitation to be the guest of honor. In fact, all of us are eagerly awaiting for your invited talk, sir. No function is complete without the presence of our beloved Director, Commander Anil Rana. We thank you for presiding over the opening ceremony. Sir, you are the guiding force behind this event and many more events like that. I welcome all the HOIs, Joint Director, Associate Director, MAHE officials, HODs, faculty members, research scholars, and students for this inaugural event. Now, as all in MAHE, we know that MAHE has declared the year 2025 as the year of excellence in industry-academia collaboration. Keeping this in mind, we have kept a novel feature for this research conclave, and that is the panel discussions where experts from industry and academia are coming together and they are pondering over issues of current importance. In fact, we have two panel discussion topics. One is the India's semiconductor vision, role of academia in chip design and fabrication, and the second one is AI and digital health in medical devices, hype versus reality. Now, because it fosters innovation, enhances research, and bridges the gap between theoretical knowledge and practical applications. The core objective of MIT Research Conclave is to create awareness about various research areas within MIT and provide a common platform to exchange ideas. So in this way, we bring together researchers from within MIT, outside MIT, as well as outside MAHE, And I'm sure that this event will provide opportunities for students and faculty members to interact and explore possible collaborations. We are displaying research work of different departments of MIT in the form of exhibits. So I'll request all of you to please go through and can try to develop collaboration. You can give ideas to them, and you can see if there are any possibilities of you collaborating with them. Now, basically, this event is to bring people from all domains, let it be engineering, science, health sciences, pharmacy, etc. So basically, the reason is that normally we all work in silos and we never want to come out. And as it is given in aeroplanes also, the emergency exit can be next to us. So the best example for this in Indian context is Dr. Venkatraman Ramakrishnan, and the famous Indian-American Nobel Prize winner. He did his PhD in theoretical physics. And then after that, he had 2 years of postdoc related to biology. And ultimately, he got a Nobel Prize in chemistry. So I think that should open our eyes that people can be from any community, any branches, but they can always get into a new domain. We have also invited researchers from other institutes of MAHE and outside MAHE, which in turn will provide opportunities for them as well as for us to have collaborations. And we have poster presentations by PhD students. And in fact, I would say that the star attraction of this research conclave is the display by major student projects of MIT. And let me tell you that these students work very late, and they sometimes work even till 2 o'clock midnight or 3 o'clock midnight, and they are doing wonderful work. So I would really request all of you to please visit their stalls and encourage them. And I think we can have a round of applause for these students. They are doing really well. So at the end, I once again welcome you all for this inaugural function. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for the warm welcome. A very warm welcome to you, too. May I now request Dr. Dhanya Sunil, Associate Director, Research and Consultancy, to present an overview of the Research Conclave. Over to you, madam.
MIT Research Conclave 2025, a platform to celebrate research, innovation, and collaboration. Respected Vice Chancellor and Chief Guest of the function, Lieutenant General Dr. M.D. Venkatesh, Guest of Honor Dr. Anurag Kumar, INSA Professor, IIC Bengaluru, Commander Dr. Anil Rana, Director, MIT, Associate Director, CAVE, Dr. Ashok Rao, Dr. Chandrakala CB, Joint Director, MIT, Associate Directors, Heads of Departments, distinguished invitees from MAHE, faculty members, research scholars, and students. Over the past 2 years, the Research Day has evolved one of the signature academic events of Manipal Institute of Technology. In recognition of the growing depth and breadth of research across our departments, we are proud to present this year's conclave in an expanded 2-day format. The third edition of MIT Research Conclave with extended timeline reflects MIT's unwavering commitment to nurturing a vibrant research ecosystem and providing ample space for meaningful academic engagement, innovative thinking, and driving collaborative exploration. With the inauguration moments away, I now have the pleasure of presenting the highlights of MIT Research Conclave 2025. The conclave begins with a keynote address by one of the most distinguished academicians in Indian higher education, Dr. Anurag Kumar, INSA Professor in the Department of Electrical and Communication Engineering at the Indian Institute of Science, Bengaluru. Sir's talk on application-aware wireless networking will undoubtedly set an inspiring tone for the conclave, offering deep insights into the aligning network architectures with application-specific needs. The conclave will feature 2 insightful panel discussions that delve into some of the most pressing and promising areas of research and innovation. The first panel will address India's semiconductor vision, highlighting the role of academia in building self-reliance in chip design and fabrication. The second panel will critically explore AI and digital health in medical devices, evaluating the balance between hype and reality and the path forward for responsible innovation. I'm sure that these panels will bring together academia and industry, bridging the gap between research and its real-world applications. Yet another central highlight of this conclave is a research exhibition featuring contributions from all engineering and science departments of MIT. This exhibition reflects the depth of interdisciplinary research thriving across the institute, fostering meaningful dialogue, sparking new ideas, and opening new avenues for collaborative research. Adding to the intellectual display is a major student projects exhibition that will contribute significantly to the conclave's broader goal of fostering a vibrant and thriving ecosystem where innovation, critical thinking, and academic curiosity are celebrated and advanced. The research posters exhibition featuring work by PhD research scholars is a key component of the MIT Research Conclave, providing a platform to present ongoing research, preliminary findings, and innovative ideas across disciplines. It fosters research communication and feedback-driven improvement while promoting a strong research-oriented culture within the institute. This event also shines a spotlight on the contributions of centers of research excellence, which have been instrumental in advancing high-impact research and forging strong industry-academia linkages. These centers embody MIT's strategic focus on thematic research areas aligned with national priorities, and their presence here reinforces our commitment to translational outcomes and social relevance. The exhibition highlighting the research facilities offered by Central Analytical Instrumentation Facility, CAIF, Medical Instruments, Devices and Allied Sciences, MIDAS, Manipal University Technology Business Incubator, MUDBI, and the Bioincubator serves as a valuable platform to raise awareness of the advanced infrastructure available within the Mahe campus. By showcasing these capabilities, it encourages faculty and student researchers to leverage in-house resources more effectively, thereby strengthening interdisciplinary research, fostering innovation, and accelerating the overall research output at MIT. As part of this conclave, we are also pleased to host research presentations from neighboring institutes outside Mahe who graciously accepted our invitation and joined us to showcase their work, fostering opportunities for meaningful collaboration and knowledge exchange beyond institutional boundaries. MIT Research Conclave is thus an opportunity for us to learn from each other, to inspire and be inspired. Let us make the most of these 2 days, engaging deeply, sharing openly, and building connections that will drive the future of research and innovation at MIT and beyond. I wish you all a meaningful and enriching conclave. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam, for the detailed overview and highlighting the research opportunities at MIT. The lamp stands tall, not just as a light, but as a beacon of wisdom and collective hope. May I now invite the dignitaries on stage to proceed for the ceremonial lighting of the lamp. Thank you, everyone. Ladies and gentlemen, before I request our chief guest to address the gathering, it is my duty to introduce him to you all. Lieutenant General Dr. M.D. Venkatesh graduated from Mysore Medical College in 1978 with an exceptional academic record and was commissioned in Armed Medical Corps in 1979. He acquired his MS ENT from Mumbai University and is known as an outstanding ENT surgeon. He has contributed significantly in the field of medical education, having trained generations of undergraduate and postgraduate students in the Armed Forces Medical College, Pune. He was in the Armed Forces for 38 years, during which, besides academic, he has also held numerous administrative appointments and is credited with many achievements. He also headed the premier training establishment of AMC that provides training to all paramedical personnel of AMC and medical officers of AFMC. He is currently serving as the 7th Vice Chancellor of Mahe, Manipal. With this brief introduction, sir, I request you to address the gathering.
Very good morning and warm greetings to all of you on this wonderful day, and my heartiest congratulations to MIT on hosting the MIT Research Conclaves 2.0 2025. Dr. Anurag Kumar, Commander Anil Rana, Dr. Ashok Rao, Dr. Danya Sunil, heads of the institutions, university, heads of the directorates, senior faculty members, researchers from across disciplines in Mahe, and most enthusiastic students who are interested in research, who would like to pursue research in this wonderful organization, guests, ladies and gentlemen. It's a matter of great pride for me to be here today, where research is taking the prime focus. All along, we have always been saying that you cannot take away research from an academic institution, but it's important that you also look at, reevaluate, reassess, re-strategize, relook at newer problems, try to find newer solutions, and more than anything else, work together as a team in a collaborative manner to ensure that global issues, global problems do find a cost-effective solution. And we have seen this many times over. It's only the pandemics that drive us to think of newer problems and newer solutions, but it's better to be prepared than be proactive than be reactive. Importance of such conclaves cannot be overemphasized. We at Mahe, about 5 years ago, we really took a hard look at where we were, despite Mahe being recognized even at that time as one of the most leading research-focused universities. But looking at the newer challenges, looking at the newer developments, making a real-time assessment of where our university was in terms of infrastructure, in terms of support that were required, in terms of reimagining research ecosystem in Mahe, and also very special focus at MIT, our largest institution with over 14,000 students, more than 800 faculty. It was very essential at that time to take a relook, reassess, and also have a hard look at how do we make a progress from there on. Because if you're very satisfied with where you are, progress will never happen. Therefore, to all of us at Mahe, we have always been saying that to be a little unsatisfied with what we have achieved so far is the one factor which drives us towards excellence. We also looked at from solitary institutions which are trying to drive research. Yes, there was excellence in those institutions, but then we missed out on the biggest strength of Mahe, our multidisciplinary nature, our shared ecosystem, our shared resources, our shared knowledge base, and more than anything else, an opportunity to work together to do something which is substantial over a period of time. To that end, university administration, ably supported by our board and by our research teams across institutions, and of course, the monetary support that was available and made available for such activities have taken us to newer heights over the last 5 years. Today, as we stand at the threshold of being globally recognized as a serious contender in research, it's a matter of great privilege for us that MIT is taking a look on an annual basis on a program that began last year, and today it's bigger and better. Let me congratulate Dr. Ashok Rao, Dr. Danya, Commander Rana, the entire team for bringing into focus the multidisciplinary nature and also taking a look, feeling happy about what we did right, and also perhaps be critical of what did not go right, and reassess our strategies for the next year and the next 3 years, next 5 years, next 15 years. Research is not an overnight achievement. Research is all about believing in your idea and persevering with your work and building teams alongside to help you and take you forward. On this end, once again, heartiest congratulations to all the young students who are sitting behind. You are part of an extraordinary research ecosystem, so please make the best use of it. Research at MAHE, I mentioned it, is today, I can proudly say that we are multidisciplinary in nature, interdisciplinary and multidisciplinary. Not we saying it, but the entire higher education system, including the Government of India and other funding agencies, are seriously supporting MAHE in our endeavor towards promoting multidisciplinary research. What has made the difference in the last few years has been a significant investment that we have made, both in terms of building new research infrastructure, which multidisciplinary use in its core, renewing our old research infrastructure, and bringing in new. I think I'm very happy to say that if I look at it, more than 1.2 million square feet of research space has been created in the last 4 years across our campuses. Investment close to 1,000 crores have been made towards building new research infrastructure, reinforcing, renewing older infrastructure. On the operating side, from around 80 crore rupees per year 5 years ago, today, our operating research spend is close to 360 crores, a growth of over 4 times. It's not that money will build research, money will bring you the desired support systems, desired infrastructure, and also brings in that enthusiasm. Why has this happened is we have been able to promote a newer thought process, a newer research culture in the university. And this is something significant, and this is one thing that I'm going to take home, that we did make a change in the mindset of people about research in MAHE when I end my tenure in a little time from now. We did not rest at just creating infrastructure. We looked at what all we did. We revamped the entire research policy. We revamped what research support systems are available. For this, even it might sound repetitive, I must mention it. MAHE is the only university in the entire world to have a read and publish agreement with 17 publishers across the globe, with our researchers, including student researchers, having ability to publish in an open access journal fully funded by the university. Something significant happened with this, because with all these things, research, support systems, the newer databases that were made available, the analytics that were made available to our researchers, we grew at an exponential rate. From 1,900 papers in 2020, today we have published this year close to 5,500 research articles. And I'm very happy to say, as we cross the half-yearly mark this year, we have already published more than 3,700 papers. Therefore, by the end of the research year, we may be publishing 7,500 papers. It's not about the numbers, it's also about the quality. More than 82% of them have been in quartile 1 and quartile 2. 64% of them have been in open access journals, and 40% of them have a linkage to one or the other sustainable development goals, which is once again another major impact area of MAHE. And with regard to support systems, we enhanced the incentives that are given to our faculty. We brought in the students into the incentive eligibility criteria. We brought in the seed funding, both to faculty and to the students. We also made a revolutionary idea about postgraduate students, helping them, if they publish a paper in the year 1 of their study, the university is giving them a 25% scholarship in the subsequent year. It's not about, these incentives are required as an extrinsic motivator before research interest becomes inherent, it becomes internalized, so that more people gravitate towards quality research when they are studying, and also may look at research as a career as they go forward. The other important thing that we did was, we realized that for us to drive research, there's a need for focused research scholars in the university. In the last 3 years, we have enrolled more than 2,600 PhD scholars. In the last year alone, the number of PhD scholars we enrolled were 1,150. The previous year, 850. Each year, we are giving 500 fully funded scholarships to our full-time PhD scholars. These are not mere numbers. These are all done with a long-term, vision in mind that MAHE should emerge as a research hub, not only within the country, but also to be recognized as one across the globe. The other important that we did was to strengthen our, patent filing and support systems. Today, MAHE's every patent, including a student patent, is fully funded by the university. Half the people don't even realize that their idea is patentable. Here now we are making efforts to identify these ideas at the earliest and ensure that these ideas turn into innovations, these innovations turn into a patentable product or a service. In addition, we also big time supported our innovation center, revamped it, our MUTB, our technology incubator, biotechnology incubator. We built up newer facilities like the MIDAS with collaboration from DST. And what it has done, all these things, is now there is so much of trust about the researchers in MAHE that most institutions in the country are looking forward to collaborating with us. So this is a big change that has happened, and funding agencies, especially the public funding agencies, are become more liberal, more receptive to research projects that are promoted or submitted from MAHE. The thing that we stressed most over the last few years has been collaboration. Often research was in silos, today it's an open field. And look at the number of interdisciplinary research that is happening, including interdisciplinary PhD supervision. This is a revolution that is in the making. And more than anything else, also a specific stress was made on industry-academia collaboration. We invited industries to come with their problems, to work with us, to develop programs, to start centers of excellence. I think a trickle has now grown into a small flow. I'm sure it is going to become a major rivulet in times to come. So it's important that these advancements or the progress that we made at MAHE are also looked and seen and felt by others. And such fora are very, very important for us to showcase what our researchers are doing, what our students are doing, what are the outcomes of an extraordinary investment journey that over the last 3, 4, 5 years that MAHE has done, and where are we heading to. So this is a time to take stock, enjoy the journey, and the positive outcomes, and also critically look at what we need to do more to set our objectives to reaching the top 500 universities in the world in the next 3 years. The journey is quite hard, but I feel that it is truly achievable. We have already reached the number 1 position in India as the best ever private multidisciplinary university. Therefore, this should inspire us to work harder, to work closer, and work collaboratively, not necessarily within the university, but also with other organizations inside and outside of the country. To support all these things, perhaps I can proudly say that the administrative structure of Directorate of Research is perhaps the largest in the country. Just in terms, not purely in terms of numbers, but also in terms of functionality and the responsibilities. And all the structure at the central level is replicated at the institutional level, maybe at a smaller scale. All these things are, things that have happened and things that are going to bring in the future, benefits. Not necessarily only to the institutions, but also to the individual researchers, to the students, also enhance the reputation of the institutions, and also the societal commitment under which the entire edifice of the university stands is fulfilled. We are trying to make an impact for the human society at a global level. Going forward, this year, many more things are in the anvil with regard to research support systems. I'm sure MIT will proudly have a semiconductor fab lab of around 10,000 square feet before the year ends. There will be a center for research, space research, which will be an industry-academia collaboration, another 8,000 square feet and a big investment. Then very soon we are going to have a Department of Artificial Intelligence in Healthcare, first of its kind in the country at Kasturba Medical College. Let me also remind you that we are the only university in the country to be part of the National Center of Excellence of AI in Healthcare. This is very, 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 very proud moment for us. This is, again, not one institution, multi-institutional collaboration along with the industry and the leading institutions of the country. So this is our strength, and we need to build on it. Next, we're also in the annual is a very large quantum computing facility at our Bangalore campus. Then our BSL-3 lab, perhaps the largest in the country, is going to be operational very, very soon. Everything is ready, less the accreditation, which soon happen in the next 5-10 days. And of course, a very, very ambitious digital transformation process that is on the anvil at the university, which will bring in a totally digital transformation in the university with special emphasis on AI integration in every university function, including research. Therefore, ladies and gentlemen, we are in exciting times at Mahe. I only request all of you to make the best use, reach out, shake hands, collaborate, share ideas, share your research, work in a very, very collaborative fashion within our institutional boundaries, but also outside. Attract international collaborations, and let's try and build a research ecosystem which perhaps will be to be seen as a role model for higher education institutions to emulate. With this note, let me once again congratulate all those people who are involved in the conception and execution of this extraordinary event. I wish this event all the success. I wish all the delegates, all those people who are attending, go back enriched at the end of which, perhaps with 100 more research ideas, with 1,000 more collaborations that will happen during the course of next 2 days. Congratulations, MIT. All the very best. Thank you very much. Jai Hind.
Thank you, sir, for your encouraging words and supportive actions towards research at MIT and Mahe. Moving further, ladies and gentlemen, we have another eminent personality in the field of research as our guest of honor, Dr. Anurag Kumar, INSA Distinguished Professor, Indian Institute of Science, Bengaluru. Dr. Anurag Kumar has had an accomplished career filled with achievements and accolades. Dr. Kumar graduated with President's Gold Medal from IIT Kanpur in 1977 and went on to get his doctorate from Cornell University in 1981. He worked at AT&T Bell Labs for a period of 7 years before joining the Indian Institute of Science, where he served as professor and later as director. Since 2020, he is honorary professor at IISc, and from January 2024, he holds the title of INSA Distinguished Professor. An eminent researcher in performance analysis, optimization, and control of communication networks and distributed systems, Dr. Kumar has published over 200 peer-reviewed papers and co-authored 2 major international textbooks in the field. He is a fellow of IEEE, INSA, INAE, IASC, and TWAS. Among his many honors are the IISc Alumni Award, the Vaswick Award for IT, the IEI IEEE Award for Engineering Excellence, and the J.C. Bose National Fellowship. He has also served on the editorial board and steering committee of the IEEE ACM Transactions on Networking. With this brief introduction, I invite Dr. Anurag Kumar to kindly address the gathering. Over to you, sir.
Namaskar, good morning. First of all, I'd like to thank the administration of MIT and MAHE for inviting me for this for my presence here as a guest of honor. Lieutenant General Dr. Venkatesh, Commander Dr. Anil Rana, Dr. Ashok Rao, Dr. Dhanya Sunil on the dais. I'd like to present a few thoughts on the nature of research and the way the research is being conducted in our country and what remains to be done. We can go back and look at our Constitution. The importance of science to our society is embodied in our Constitution, Article 51A. Among the fundamental duties of citizens of India, one of the duties that is listed is to develop a scientific temper, humanism, and the spirit of inquiry and reform. You are all students of science and engineering, so we need not get into a discussion about what science is, whether it's a way of thinking, whether it's a systematic methodology, whether it's a language for formal thinking. What we must get into, however, is the fact that more of these need to be done in India. The effective number of people who can be categorized as scientists or researchers in India is less than 500,000 in a population of 1.4 billion. The corresponding numbers in China are 2.5 million, with a population about equal to ours, and 1.8 million in the US, with a population 1/4 of ours. During the year 2020, the total number of scientific publications coming out of the US and from China was 600,000 and 700,000 respectively, and about 200,000 coming out of India. We are catching up, but we still have a long way to go. So there's a need to substantially increase the scientific output of our country. As a result of the small population of researchers, certain areas get overlooked. Interestingly, although we hear about a lot about artificial intelligence and machine learning, it's only now that we are getting to build large language models for AI. It's only now that the government of India is beginning to fund large missions in AI, many years after all of this actually started elsewhere. We're only now beginning to fund a large mission in quantum technologies. Just last year, the first large mission was funded by the government of India. And because of the small number of researchers and because of the expanding number of research areas, most areas have a very small number of people working on them. Collaboration is weak, therefore. The lack of a critical mass of researchers in the country compels the few researchers we have to turn to the inspiration from other, more scientifically advanced ecosystems, thereby turning the attention away from the pressing problems within our own country. So instead of collaborating amongst ourselves, instead of looking for inspiration for research problems within our own ecosystem, we keep looking outwards. We keep going to foreign conferences, getting ideas from there, and in some sense contributing back to the furtherance of their knowledge than to the knowledge which is required for our own ecosystem. Another fundamental duty listed in our Constitution is to strive towards excellence in all spheres of individual and collective activity, so that the nation constantly rises to higher levels of endeavor and achievement. This is an additional part of the article in our Constitution. For India's progress as an advanced technological nation, it's essential to have science-driven innovation, leading to world-class techniques, processes, products, and services. Apart from answering fundamental questions about the world around us, a lot of scientific knowledge generated today ends up in engineering solutions after many years. If India can create its own solutions and products, we'll be less dependent on imports and could ourselves be suppliers of technologies and products to the rest of the world, like the US and China. I recently came across an analysis by an eminent professor of the $1.5 trillion of productivity, of produce, of output in the world. In telecom and associated areas, only 1% comes from India. The value addition, although India has begun to produce a lot of electronics, we even export electronics now, the value addition to those systems, to electronics, is only a fraction of 1%. There's also a need to think far ahead. The scientists and engineers coming out of this institute will have contempt for the impossible. We often tend to be constrained by what is possible, and we tend to find impossible things too risky for us to even touch. In much the same way as other societies have had. Please recall the following audacious projects. Sending a man to the moon in 1969, a pocket device that lets you instantly communicate and has the power of a desktop computer. All of you have at least one in your pocket. 600-seater commercial airliners are being thought about. Driverless cars have already been deployed in some parts of the world, just to name a few. But you must remember that these achievements do not happen overnight. The scientists and engineers and the government must have a very long-term vision, and then the tenacity to see it through. The progress towards the goal is incremental, and often very little progress is made during entire careers of individuals. But through the concerted and persistent work of many, the goal is finally achieved. So we should not get impatient. We just need to have the long-term vision in mind. I recall my own doctoral research. When I joined Cornell University in the EE department as a doctoral student in 1977, at the age of 22, my PhD guide had the dream that prosthesis, somebody has lost an arm, such as an artificial arm, can be made much more useful to the prosthesis wearer if they could be controlled by the person's own nervous system. If the person's own muscles could drive those prostheses, and the person's own nerves could sense where the prosthetic arm is and could control the muscles to drive the arm. And of course, you have to have the interface electronics to be able to achieve that, so-called BMI now, brain-machine interface, not body mass index. The brain could control the prosthetic arm. So my advisor moved on to get a medical degree, and I changed my work to do something more theoretical with a different guide. Researchers kept on working at this problem. Can we drive a prosthetic arm by the person's own brain, by the person's own muscles, so it feels like a part of your own body? And recently, 45 years after I completed my PhD, several researchers have made tiny progress towards realizing at least a prototype of such an arm. So biologists understood the physiology of the neural system, while engineers aim to understand neural signal processing and how to connect electronics into the human tissue. Progress has been slow, but now there have been successful demonstrations of a person's brain controlling a robotic arm via an electrode array embedded in the person's arm. Cellular telephony, which everyone is carrying with you in your pocket, some people have too. The early experiment began in 1971, and today we are 55 years after that. So it was 1971 when Bell Laboratories in the US began the first experiments in cellular telephony. The first patents were filed then. The first large-scale experiments were conducted in the city of Chicago in the late 70s and the early 80s. But the commercial telephony using this technology became a reality only in the mid-90s. So you see this, the time it took, 25 years from the first patent until it became a reality and in something useful. I remember having made a trip to Germany at that time. The cell phone used to be something that was fitted to a car with large batteries, and you would only make a phone call from the car. The question of carrying one in your breast pocket was unheard of. Again, demonstrating the long haul that one must prepare oneself for if one has to successfully develop technology from early concept all the way to becoming a multi-billion-dollar industry. It's very interesting. I hear about from your administration, academia industry interaction. All of you should look up a report which was published first in, I think, the 2010s, and now again recently they published a report from the US National Research Council. It's a report about the impact that research has on one's economy. And they've created these very interesting diagrams called tire track diagrams. And when you drive a car on sand, you'll find these tire tracks. So they're like lines, and they're like straight lines. They're multiple parallel lines. For each technology, they have drawn interconnections between what the industry does, what academia does, and finally, what becomes a successful technology. There are many interesting things to see there. First of all, the very strong academia and industry interaction to realize technology. And secondly, the long gestation period, whether it's computing, whether it is software, any technology, they have traced many of them out. And it's many years until the technology becomes $1 billion industry. So one has to be patient and one has to work at it. Some of you have heard about the Higgs boson, the so-called God particle, and the Large Hadron Collider. I actually visited the area where the experiments were done. The Large Hadron Collider is a particle collider. The physicists here would know what that means. It is a circumference of 27 kilometers, a 27 kilometers loop. It lies in a tunnel 175 meters underground. It was something that was thought of as far back as the 1990s. Its construction was completed only in 2008, 18 years later. And several major elementary particle physics experiments were built based upon this facility. So again, a long-term vision, thought very far before it actually became useful, is what drove this whole experiment. Again, the LHC and the resulting marvelous results show the long-term vision, the tenacity, and the collaboration that's required to realize this vision. This particular experiment is not done by the French alone. It's actually an international collaboration where different countries, even including India, contribute to the technology and contribute to the experiments, much like the International Space Station. Finally, I'd like to make a pitch for IISc. If any of the students here who are finishing the undergraduate or the masters are considering a postgraduate education in science and engineering, I would like to draw your attention to Indian Institute of Science. I'm sure many of you have heard about it. While many would know IISc by its reputation and its glorious past, I want to dwell on what IISc is today. What might not be very well known is IISc from the very beginning is an institution of higher education and research in the basic sciences and engineering. The word science in IISc only refers to a scientific approach to everything. Pretty much all major disciplines of science and engineering are represented in IISc. And apart from the PhD program in every area, there are several MTech programs and several interdisciplinary programs, and now a very special undergraduate program in the basic sciences. We have just also begun an undergraduate program in computing and mathematics. I must add that ISC is embedded in one of the most exciting S&D systems in India and perhaps in the world, namely Bengaluru. I'd like to thank the management and the faculty of this university for having invited me to speak at this occasion, and I wish all the faculty, students, and staff a successful year ahead. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for pointing out the necessity of futuristic research and motivating us towards the same. May I now request our Vice Chancellor and Chief Guest for the function, Lieutenant General Dr. M.D. Venkatesh, to present a memento to Dr. Anurag Kumar as a token of our appreciation and gratitude. Thank you, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, presiding over today's proceedings is our Director, Commander Dr. Anil Rana. Let me introduce him to you all before requesting him for his remarks. Dr. Anil Rana has served as a commander in the engineering branch of the Indian Navy in various roles and has over 30 years of experience in industry and academia. He has pursued his MTech at IIT Delhi and completed his PhD in reliability engineering at IIT Bombay. Post his naval service, he served as Associate Dean Research and Professor Mechanical Engineering at Fiji National University in Fiji Islands for 5 years, followed by Dean Academics and Professor at Symbiosis Skills and Open University, Pune. He was Dean Faculty of Manufacturing Skills and Dean Academics at BSDU Jaipur before taking over as Vice Chancellor of Oriental University, Indore. He is also an experienced researcher who has a long list of publications in various reputed national and international journals. With this brief introduction, sir, I request you to deliver the presidential remarks.
Thank you. Very good morning to all those who are present here. The guest of honor, Dr. Anurag Kumar, distinguished Professor INSA, as well as ex-IIC former director, Vice Chancellor Mahe, General Venkatesh, Dr. Ashok Rao, Dr. Dhanya, head of the directorates, HOIs, senior professors of MIT, and researchers. A very good morning, and it gives me great pleasure to be present here for the launch of the Research Conclave 2025. This is not just a date in our calendar, it's a vibrant testament to the relentless spirit of inquiry that defines MIT. It is also an occasion to celebrate the achievements of our researchers, and it also is a platform to exchange ideas, knowledge on research in various disciplines across MIT as well as across Mahe institutes. I am also very happy to note that we have regional institutes present here today, from Yenapoya to MITE, Mudbudri, to SMVIT, Bentacle, and Sahyadri Engineering College are present here, and some of them are also going to put some displays. There are some other names, I'm sorry, I don't have the list complete with me. This year's Research Conclave also holds special significance as we are joined by industry representatives for a conclave fostering crucial dialogues around two pivotal themes: semiconductor fabrication and AI/ML application in healthcare. And these discussions will underscore our commitment to bridging academic excellence with industrial relevance, ensuring that our research not only pushes the boundaries of theoretical understanding, but also addresses real-world problems. You may also be very happy to note that we are also running a Life-a-thon 2.0 parallelly with the event, and we have about 78 problem statements from the Medical and Health Science Institute, as well as the industry. I think about 10 problems coming from the industry, and all those problem statements are being displayed in the placement hall one floor below. We also have 100 research displays plus 43 research work displays in the research exhibition in the academic block 1 quadrangle. So I would request all of you to please find time to visit We'll be running these exhibition as well as the Life-a-thon display for 2 days, today and tomorrow. This effort also resonates very closely with the theme of this year as a year of excellence in industry, academia, collaboration. If I look back a few years, from 20 to 25, MIT Manipal has embarked on a remarkable journey of research evolution. Just to run some numbers for you, we have seen significant growth across all key metrics that define a thriving research ecosystem. So whether it is publication, it is patent filing, granted patents, IPRs, grants received from both industry and government organizations, I think we have done phenomenally well. Just to run the numbers again, from 21 to 25, we have seen about 15 to 20% rise in publication year on average. But patents, a whopping 70% increase. Thank you, Vardarajan, wherever you are. And this has been possible because of the support that we have provided for MAHE, and of course, our students, researchers, faculty members, everybody. It's been a collective effort. I'm also very proud to mention here that almost 20% of the research work is actually coming from our student community. But I also note that there is still a lot we need to do towards translating the patents into tangible assets. Another area where we need to strengthen our work is the consultancy, but we have our strategy chalked up, and in coming 2 to 3 years, we'll see substantial rise in the consultancy. Our success in securing research grants from various industries as well as government bodies is another cornerstone of this growth. These grants are a validation of the quality and relevance of our research proposals, enabling us to invest in cutting-edge infrastructure, recruiting top talent, and pursue ambitious projects that have potential for significant societal impact. We have strength in various areas of expertise, but I would not like to mention all of them in the interest of time. I think we are already overshot by 7 minutes. But one very important area is advanced materials and manufacturing. Our faculty and researchers are actively engaged in developing novel materials with enhanced properties, exploring sustainable manufacturing processes, and pushing the boundaries of traditional engineering. This includes works like nanotechnology, composite materials, and smart materials, with application ranging from aerospace to biomedical devices. Why this is significantly important is, I'm sure you are all aware that we have a dream of manufacturing India. We're talking big about EV, but the fact is, the rare earth materials, which is a very important component, the entire industry, both in terms of mining as well as processing, lies in China. So even if we talk about battery manufacturing, we are actually assembling batteries here. Unless we strengthen our research in these two focus areas, we will not be able to realize our dreams. Similarly, for EV technologies, when we talk about the material that go into the batteries itself, say for example, lithium ion, we're talking about all these materials that is required, again, coming from China. So I think we need to do a lot in this area. I'm very happy that we have quite a number of expertise in this, and we have various departments, both in the basic sciences as well as in engineering, focusing on materials, but I think we'll need to gear up much more and see that we really make an impact in this area. There's another area that I'm talking about is the AI and ML, is another domain where MIT Manipal has established a very strong foothold. Our researchers are at the forefront of developing sophisticated AI algorithms, machine learning models, and deep learning architectures for diverse applications. This includes research in natural language processing, computer vision, predictive analytics, and intelligence systems with a keen eye on real-world solving. Vice Chancellor already mentioned about the Center of Excellence of AI/ML application in healthcare. MAHE is the only private university to have successfully got the grants for this Center of Excellence of AI/ML application in healthcare. The total outlay is about 320 crores amongst the 5 consortium partners. So our team, along with KMC and other institutes under MAHE, are rubbing shoulders with IISc, Bangalore, IIT Delhi, AIIMS Delhi, as well as IIT Madras to find solutions to healthcare problems. Another area is about Indian language translation projects. The total overall project cost is about 6 crores in most of the South Indian languages, so from Kannada, Tamil, Telugu, Malayalam, etc. Our researchers are working in this area too. with partnership of IIT Delhi, IIT Hyderabad, and many others. Our contributions, again, to sustainable technologies and environmental engineering are also noteworthy. With a growing global emphasis on sustainability, our researchers are focusing on renewable energy waste management, water purification, and environmental monitoring. We are committed to developing innovative solutions that address pressing environment concerns and contribute to greener, more sustainable future. We have got grants from MNRE, from DST, a total grant of about 2.25 crores, but there are many other projects and proposals in pipeline. I'm sure going forward, we'll make a big impact when it comes to bioenergy and green hydrogen. I'm just cutting short and I'd like to apologize to all those researchers who are eagerly waiting for their centers to be called or their research areas to be called, but we are running short of time. You are doing fantastic work. It is all there on the web page in our newsletters, so thank you so much for contributing. I'd like to cut short and come directly to the closing address in the interest of time. As MIT stands at this exciting juncture, we aim to strengthen our partnership with the industry, academic institutes, and research organizations. The conclave today is a step in this direction, and we believe that true innovation flourishes when we work collaboratively, translating research breakthroughs into practical applications that will benefit the society. We will actively seek out new collaborations, establish more joint research initiatives, and streamline the process of intellectual property, licensing, and more importantly, commercialization. In closing, the journey of Research MIT Manipal has been one of the continuous growth, unwavering commitment, and dedication from our researchers and remarkable achievement. The foundation laid over the past few years, coupled with our strategic focus on future trends and our ambitious goals, position us to reach even greater heights. We are confident that with the collective effort of our students, faculty members, researchers, partners, and of course support from MAHE, MIT Manipal will continue to be a beacon of innovation. Did I say beacon? Beacon of innovation, contributing significantly to the advancement of knowledge and for the betterment of humanity. Thank you so much. Jai Hind.
Thank you, sir, for the words of encouragement. With this, we inch towards the end of the formal function. I now request Dr. Tirunavakkarasu, Assistant Director, RNC, to deliver the vote of thanks. Over to you, sir.
Discovery is the journey, research is the path. Good morning to all of you. It is my honor and privilege to propose the vote of thanks on this remarkable occasion of MIT Research Conclave 2025, a celebration of idea, innovation, and intellect. We express our deep gratitude to Lieutenant General Dr. M.T. Venkatesh, the Honorable Vice Chancellor of MAHE, for gracing us with his presence and inaugurating the Research Conclave 2025 at MIT. Thank you, sir, for your unwavering support. Special thanks to our guest of honor, Professor Anurag Kumar, INSA Professor and former Director, Indian Institute of Science, Bangalore, for gracing this occasion with your presence, and your insights have truly enriched our event. Thank you, sir. We extend our heartfelt appreciation to Commander Dr. Anil Rana, Director, MIT, for his constant inspiration and support and guidance to all the activities organized by the Office of Associate Director, Research and Consultancy. Thank you, sir, for your insightful inputs. We express our deep sense of gratitude to Dr. Chandrakala, Joint Director, MIT, for her constructive suggestions and valuable contributions towards enhancing the activities planned for Research Conclave 2025. Thank you so much, madam. Our sincere thanks to Dr. Danya Sunil, Associate Director, Research and Consultancy, and all Assistant Directors, Dr. Abdul Qadir, Dr. Sinivas, Dr. Vinay Jodwan, Dr. Lakshman Kudwa, for their tireless efforts in organizing this event for the third consecutive time in MIT. Thank you, madam. Our sincere thanks to Dr. Ashok Rao, Associate Director, Central Analytical Instrumentation Facility, for his guidance in organizing this event. Sir, you are the true source of inspiration for all of us in the RNC team. Thank you, sir. We express our gratitude to Dr. Sriram KV, Associate Director, Industry Liaison, Placement and Practice School, and his entire team for connecting us with industry for this event. We acknowledge the presence of heads of various institutions and all other esteemed invitees who have gathered, who has honored us with their presence today. A special thanks to all the associate directors, heads of the department, research coordinators, faculty members, and researchers who have gathered here. We place our sincere thanks to Sri Ratnakar Soman sir and Sri Keshavacharya for their meticulous planning in arranging the venue for posters and overall arrangements. I extend my sincere thanks to audiovisual and streaming services and the security section for their seamless support throughout the event. Your efforts have ensured the smooth conduct of the program. A heartfelt appreciation to Dr. Shilpa Suresh, faculty from Department of Mechatronics Engineering for your soulful invocation prayer. Special thanks to Professor C.S. Shugash Kausik, Department of Mechanical and Industrial Engineering, for his excellent coordination as the Master of Ceremony guiding us through the program. I would like to express my gratitude to each one of you for your presence in this event. Together, we look forward to an extremely productive day filled with fruitful discussions and insights. Thank you. Finally, I thank all the attendees for your active participation. Your presence made this day complete. Research is creating new knowledge, said Neil Armstrong, and today we have all witnessed the power of that creation. Let's carry forward the spirit of exploration and continue to push the boundaries of knowledge. Thank you all once again.
Thank you, sir. This brings us to the end of the formal stage program. We shall now break for tea and assemble back here in another 30 minutes as we are about to have an exciting keynote session on application aware on wireless networking by our guest of honor, Dr. Anurag Kumar. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, and I request the dignitaries on the dais to kindly stay back for a quick photo shoot. Ladies and gentlemen, we are about to begin with the keynote session. I request people outside having tea to kindly join us in the auditorium. I repeat, we are about to begin with the keynote session, and I request people outside having tea to kindly join us in the auditorium. Ladies and gentlemen, I request everybody to occupy the front rows. Audience are pretty scattered around here now, so kindly request you to shift to the front rows. And people outside, request you to come into the auditorium immediately. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the keynote session of MIT Research Conclave 2025. We have with us an eminent researcher who has graciously agreed to be our keynote speaker, Dr. Anurag Kumar, INSA Distinguished Professor, Indian Institute of Science, Bengaluru. Some of you might have heard him earlier in the day while he addressed us in the capacity of the the guest of honor for the inauguration. However, it is my duty to introduce him to the gathering before handing over the session to him. Dr. Anurag Kumar graduated with President's Gold Medal from IIT Kanpur in 1977 and went on to get his doctorate from Cornell University in 1981. He worked at AT&T Bell Labs for a period of 7 years before joining the Indian Institute of Science, where he served as the professor and later as its director. Since 2020, he is honorary professor at IISc, and from January 2024, he holds the title of INSA Distinguished Professor. An eminent researcher in performance analysis, optimization, and control of communication networks and distributed systems, Professor Kumar has published over 200 peer-reviewed papers and co-authored 2 major international textbooks in the field. He is a fellow of IEEE, INSA, INAE, IASC, and TWAS. Among his many honors are the IASC Alumni Award, the Vasvik Award for IT, and the IEI IEEE Award for Engineering Excellence, and the J.C. Bose National Fellowship. He has also served on the editorial board and steering committee of the IEEE ACM Transactions on Networking. With this brief introduction, ladies and gentlemen, let us welcome Dr. Anurag Kumar. Over to you, sir.
Okay, fine. Yeah. Can I request people to come to the front so that I have a more compact audience? Yeah. Front means don't leave any seats in the front vacant. You're welcome to leave if you don't like what I'm saying, but Okay. You know, some of you probably heard my guest of honor's short speech. After I finished my PhD, it was 1981, maybe just about a year before that, I began to apply for jobs. You know, I wanted to spend some time in the US, work, and then come back to India. My PhD was very theoretical, so I wanted to get some experience in the industry. I began to apply. I must have sent about 14 applications, all in the area of wireless, you know, because that's the kind of area I was interested in getting into. I didn't get a single call back. Then my advisor referred me to one of the former students from my department who was working in Bell Labs, and they have a system where then they interview and then they take you. The reason I'm giving you the anecdote is because of the nature of wireless back then. Wireless communication was a very restricted technology. It was not something that you or anybody, any civilian could experiment with or had easy access to. It was either meant for defense or it was meant for AT&T to set up long wireless communication links. But civilians had really no access, or even researchers had no access to wireless. Those were very early days. There was no internet. I never used the computer during my entire PhD. I think that you would laugh at that, okay? I often say that the only numbers in my PhD were the page numbers, and so on and so forth. They were very different times. So the kind of wireless I'm going to talk about is the kind of wireless that you use every day. You have it in your pocket, you have the Wi-Fi interface, you have the 5G interface. And the thing is that we all use wireless in our day-to-day lives for certain applications. Okay, back then there was a term that was coined which was called POTS. How many of you know what POTS? Plain old telephone service, plain old telephone service, okay, that was called POTS. I've coined a new word, plain old internet service, okay? So what is plain old internet service? Is what you all do every day. You see your email, you download PDF files as researchers, you download YouTube videos, you watch YouTube videos online. That is plain old internet service. Still very complex. Some of what we do, some of the things that we need to do for plain old internet service, I'll talk about. But the purpose of this talk is more to that the researchers in wireless need to now begin to focus on other than plain old internet service. And there are many applications that are emerging. They've been emerging for a while, but time has now come that they actually need wireless. Okay? Applications in the industry, applications in hospitals, applications, advanced applications in defense, and so on and so forth. So how do we use, and of course, defense have their own way of doing things. They will create a wireless technology for their own applications. But I'm talking about commercial wireless technology like 5G, like Wi-Fi. How do you reshape them? How do you use them for the emerging applications? That is why I call it application-aware wireless networking. Now, the thing is that if you take a wireless network solution, suppose you invest about 1.5 lakhs and you buy a private 5G base station, very complicated, it requires fairly advanced knowledge to be able to set it up and make it work. Or if you buy a Wi-Fi network, I'm sure there is a Wi-Fi access point, yeah, I can see that here, okay. What you don't normally use it for is what I'm going to talk about, okay. How do you make these off-the-shelf technologies useful for applications that are other than what we normally buy them for. That is the plain old internet service. Okay. So let me start. I have listed this people just to show it's a collaborative effort. There are 4 professors listed there. There are 2 students. One is a PhD student and one is a master's student. And another reason I've listed is now that I'm superannuated, I don't have access to as many research students. So I work a lot with undergraduates. The project engineers, the interns are all from, ISC has no undergraduate program. You have a large undergraduate program. The list of project engineers and interns are all from engineering colleges either within Bangalore or IITs and so on and so forth. They apply and they come. We are often too busy to reply to these internship requests. I would say don't do that. These kids are very sharp. I'm sure you know that. And there's a practice that I have developed of having a large project which is ongoing. It's in the lab. It needs to be done over several years, and it needs hands. So the amount of hands you get from PhDs and masters is smaller. They have to do a thesis, so maybe they cannot spend time tinkering around too much. Whereas these young students want 1 or 2 years experience, and it's good to have these sort of ongoing projects which they can come, get involved in, and then they leave. This is a model that is practiced particularly in Europe very, very effectively, and I think we need to adopt it if we are not already doing it in our system. The funding that I have got comes from the industry and comes also from Karnataka Center of Excellence in Wireless Communication. Okay, now before I begin, I'm going to give you a short tutorial on quality of service, which I'm sure some professors here would be teaching, but I hope it will help orient those who don't teach the subject and who are students in the area into what I'm talking about. What are the questions we have to ask? Okay. Now let me begin, but I'll animate it. Maybe I won't animate it. So one of the important applications in the internet is what is called store and forward applications. What is store and forward? Very simple. I think I have 1 hour, right? So it's now maybe till about 12:20. I've already spent about 5 minutes. 12:20. Is that okay? 12:20. Fine. Okay. So store and forward. What is store and forward? Store and forward is where there is a file or a video stored on a server. It is stored, store and forward. And the internet is being used to carry it over the internet to your cell phone, to your laptop or whatever. Okay. But even in that, there are some differences. If, for example, you are storing, there is a stored file, it's a PDF file, maybe you want to read it, it's a research paper, it's a YouTube video or some other video, you want to transfer it over the internet. Now, what is the difference between that and watching a YouTube video? Even a YouTube video is a very large stored file on the, somewhere. Watching a Netflix video or a Amazon Prime video is also that. It's a stored video on some server, and it's being played out to you over the internet. What's the difference between downloading the video and playing the video on the internet? So that is what we would call streaming stored media transfer, and this is what we would call elastic file transfer. Why am I calling it elastic file transfer? When that video is being transferred, say it's a 1 GB video, it's being transferred, it doesn't really matter at what rate it is transferred, okay? It could be transferred rapidly for some time, slowly for some time, because during some times the resources available to me as a user were low, and again can be rapidly for some time. It can follow its own cadence of downloading speed. It doesn't really matter. What matters is ultimately the video is in my computer, secure, and it comes rapidly over time, sometimes fast, sometimes slow. But look at this. If it's streaming video, once I begin to play out the Netflix video, it can take a few seconds to start playing out because it requires a buffering time. When it starts playing out, then the video cannot play at any speed that you want it to play at. It should play at the speed at which the frames are being sent by the server, and every frame has a certain amount of data. If you're watching a Top Gun video, there's a lot of action, so you'll get a lot of data coming per second. Whereas if you're watching an open field where nothing is happening, somebody is contemplating, you'll have a very small bitrate video, okay? So as the video bitrate changes, the network should somehow adapt the rate it gives to that user to be able to play the video out smoothly. Or otherwise, you will see breaks in the video. So what happens is you buffer a lot of the video in your computer or your cell phone, and then you hope that there's enough buffering that as the network availability increases or decreases, the buffering allows you to, it's like, your bank balance, suppose your income is variable, your bank balance helps you in tiding over bad times, right? So that's the buffer, that's the reason of buffering. All right. So typically, these kinds of transfers are done over TCP, which many of you would know very well. On the other hand, there's hard deadline real-time traffic. What is that? For example, if you are, if you are a telephone call, you have a WhatsApp call. Okay, a WhatsApp call generates very small amount of traffic, unlike say a Netflix video. And also it generates periodic traffic. Every 20 milliseconds, voice is encoded and voice is transferred over the internet. So it is 20 milliseconds, 50 bytes per 20 milliseconds, very small amount of data. But that voice has to be delivered to the user at the same rate and at the same frequency as it was generated. Then there is real-time streaming traffic. What is real-time streaming traffic? If you're watching a cricket match, okay? Now suppose you were to play the cricket match video in the same way as you played the Netflix video. You're buffering about 10 seconds of the video in your buffer. What happens? Somebody hits a 6. The 6 is played out to you 10 seconds later. You want real-time play out. Okay, so that video cannot suffer a delay. The voice can't suffer a delay of more than a few milliseconds. Okay. Robot control. In robot control, I'll show you some videos a little later. There you want the delay. So what happens in robot control? There's a computer at the edge, and you have a wireless network in between. The robot makes certain measurements. It has a camera, it has a gyroscope, it is sending some information to the edge controller. The edge controller is sending control messages back, small amounts of data, few bytes of data. But the round-trip delay is very important, because if you don't respect the round-trip delay bounds, you're going to have serious problems in controlling the robot. I'll show some videos later. Okay. Now, what about another area, which is a combination of the kind of video playout that you saw earlier and robot control? I don't know how many of you have used virtual reality. How many have used virtual reality? A few people. What happens in virtual reality? You're wearing a headset, okay, and you are either playing a game, or you want to do a tour of a museum, or you want to walk through some garden. What do? The headset has a gyroscope. It's able to sense the angle of your head, a tilt of your head. And so it essentially is telling the video player in which direction you're looking. Okay? And as your head turns, as your head tilts up and down, and this probably is also used for simulation for pilots and all, your head's angle is being sent to the video server, and the video server is sending back a rendering of what you should be looking at that time. Now, I have not had this experience myself, but those who have done a lot of experimentation with virtual reality, what they say is that there's a lot of gap between you're looking in a particular direction and you're seeing what you are supposed to see, then you begin to get nauseous. So the human brain cannot accept a delay between what they should see and what they actually are seeing. So it's very important to control the delay between the gyroscope information going to the edge computer and the control message telling the video server, play this out there. Now, one question, I think even Manohar Pai was talking about edge. Why do we do this at the edge? Why isn't everything being done in the helmet? Why is everything not being done in the robot? Well, the robots and the helmets have energy limitation, they have a limitation of computing, and they have a limitation of the amount of storage. And as you have more and more robots being controlled or drones being controlled, you have to offload the computing, which is energy and power, energy and compute intensive, to the edge. And because these are mobile applications, you have to have wireless in between. Okay? So that immediately motivates the need for using wireless like Wi-Fi or 5G in new ways. Okay. Now let's move on to something that many of you have probably done research on, or at least have studied. Can you all hear my voice clearly? Is it okay back there? Okay. What is a virtual machine? Well, in a virtual machine, you first of all have to have a physical machine. You can't have a virtual machine without a physical machine. Let's say in this example, there are two physical machines, PM, okay? And these 4 users want to have their own virtual machines. So here are 4 virtual machines. Okay, maybe there are more than 4. There are several virtual machines out here. These virtual machines are being run on top of the physical machines. Maybe the virtual machine scheduler has mapped 4 or 5 of the virtual machines to this physical machine, and 4 or 5 of these virtual machines to this physical machine. Now, when these 4 users, or maybe there are M users, when they come to the Amazon Web Service or wherever, what do they tell Amazon? They tell, I am a user. I want 10 cores, and I want 16 GB of RAM, and I want some performance. I want to be able to get certain performance or some throughput from my computer. So what does the operator of the system do? It configures the VM scheduler and the task scheduler in such a way that the users up there begin to think that they have a machine with the right capabilities. So a very important part of virtualization, this is what I was saying here. What is virtualization? Virtualization is you're sharing resources. You're making the user think that they have their own resources, they have their own CPUs, they have their own RAM, they have their own data bus, and they're able to operate on that as if it was sitting on the desktop. Okay? So virtualization is something which is very common, and I'll give you another example of that on the right side of the slide. And a very important term in virtualization is what is scheduling. That is scheduling what you want to virtualize or on what is real. Now, probably you have not thought about it this way, but the internet is doing exactly that. The internet is allowing you to watch a video which is on a server far away, almost as if the video was sitting on your laptop and you're able to watch it smoothly. So it is virtualizing the connection between a server containing the video and your playout device, making it appear that there was nothing in between. Okay? Computing itself, your computer is remote, could be another part of the campus, you're sitting on your desktop or on your phone, and you'll be able to interact with the computer as if there was nothing in between. So a very important, so networking, I mean, you use the word networking. Networking is essentially about virtualization. You're virtualizing the physical resources of the internet or the physical resources of the wireless network to be able to create multiple services. Each service should be able to get whatever the service needs. I want to play out video, I want to watch a cricket match, I want to do virtual reality, all on the network. Okay? So now, it is perhaps not difficult for you as researchers, as engineers, to come up with a scheduler. Okay? Suppose you are given this problem, I have a wireless network and I want to run some applications on that. I want every application to work properly. You can do it in maybe 10 different ways. One person will come up with some way, and another person will come up with some way. And all of the ways may almost work. But what's important is that you need to make it work so that you pack as much any applications into that resource as possible. You want to pack as many virtual machines onto the two physical machines as possible so that the operator of that system makes good money. At the same time, you want to be able to satisfy all the requirements. So efficiency is very important, a very important aspect of good scheduling. What is efficiency? Well, efficiency is defined in different ways for different applications, for different situations. Now, if you look back at the internet, okay, those of you who work in this area of networking, those of you who teach the area, probably the term quality of service is no longer talked about much for the internet. Every color of light on an optical fiber today carries 100 Gbps, probably even more as we speak, maybe 200 Gbps per color of light, per wavelength. There will typically be 100 wavelengths per fiber, per optical fiber. Multiply that to, you have 10 terabits per second of capacity on each optical fiber. Okay, and you have a network of them, so there are different paths between different source destination pairs. So the amount of capacity available in the internet is immense. And today, what was a research problem maybe in the 90s has gone away due to the advances in optical fiber technology, that there is no longer any need for specific fine-grained control of quality of service in the internet. So the wireline internet pretty much looks like it's a piece of glass. You just shoot data and the data appears at the other side. On the other hand, wireless is not like that. No matter how much advances you have in wireless networking, you will always have the capacity limitation. And not only that, you will have the limitation of the physical nature of wireless. You move away from the base station, your signal fades. Okay, even at the same station, if you are moving back and forth due to multipath, the physical phenomenon of multipath and interference between different signals, the signal fades, the signal varies over time. Okay? So wireless has intrinsic limitations that no matter how fast you make it, there'll always be this issue of managing the performance of wireless. Okay? So plug and play wireless is a challenge. Unlike plug and play networking on the internet, you can't simply plug in a camera, hope it'll work. Plug in a robot and hope it'll work. It won't work. Okay? Everything has to work. You have to orchestrate the whole network. Okay? Channel variations, user mobility, co-channel interference, and the need for many measurements for advanced physical layer technologies becomes essential. Okay? What are today's applications? Look at the applications that we have today. These applications are emerging. There's a robot on the factory floor. The robot is supposed to move. I do not know if any of you have seen videos of the Amazon warehouses. Amazon warehouses no longer have people moving around. They have robots moving around. The robots pick up the parcels, move them to different places, and deliver the parcels. And that's very simple. There are many other applications involving wireless robotics. I'll show you a video of something later. You have wireless cameras on the factory floor for surveillance, for safety, and you have a lot of things that are happening in factories. Recently, I visited a research project on the wireless ICU. Being close to a medical facility, I think wireless ICUs will become a reality in the future. Since people's lives depend upon the ICU, putting wireless in ICU is going to be a huge challenge. Okay, a time may come when even the Boeing aircrafts have wireless communication between the computers and controls. Well, hope not. Something bad can happen. So scheduling is a secret sauce. And by the way, those of you who interact with the industry, particularly the wireless industry, one of the things that you would have learned, or you will learn, that there are two, in wireless technology, particularly in cellular technologies, there are two things that companies that build these systems will not share with you. One is, how do you build a receiver, your wireless receiver? Whereas the 5G standard, the IEEE 802.11 standards standardize the wireless transmitter, they don't standardize the wireless receiver, because that's something which you're supposed to catch the signal and decode it and be able to get the quality of physical layer with a lower signal power than somebody else. So that is technology which they develop, and they keep it secret, a secret sauce in their recipe. In a similar manner, scheduling is a secret sauce. The 3GPP standards, the Wi-Fi standards do not talk much about scheduling. Scheduling is another secret sauce that Ericsson, Nokia, Huawei would have created and have programmed into their systems to be able to provide the required quality service. Okay? Now, what is our research approach? This is a research approach I'll encourage amongst the people who work in this area here, if you do work in this area. It's always possible to do some, what I would call jugaad, you just concoct something, do a simulation, and you sort of say it's working, right? But the reason why your professors train you in a particular way, and the professors themselves have been trained in a particular way, is to approach these problems formally. You create a mathematical model, and you try to formulate the scheduling problem as an optimization problem, and then you use certain learning techniques to extract from the optimization problem, because often you don't know the parameters of the problem. You develop a learning technique to be able to schedule the system rather than hard coding something. So that's important. Okay? At the same time, what you do in practice is going to be far simpler, or should be far simpler than what you may derive from theory. So a very important part of doing the theory and then getting from that an algorithm is the important step of making the algorithm practical. Okay? The algorithm that you get out of theory may be very impractical. So that step we have to take as researchers. We can't just leave it as a theoretical theorem, which you just say, okay, somebody will do the practice. I think today we should also be, as researchers, do that, take the step of taking it from theory to practice. Okay, so let me quickly go over, I began by talking about store and forward flows in the internet. There's a file sitting on some computer, so it could be a video, could be a text file. I want to move that file from that computer to my computer. Even email is like that. Email, what are you doing? You're just moving your email with attachments from the email server into your computer. So now, I've given that a name. I don't think that name matters to you very much. But okay, again, when you're doing engineering, it is very hard to do engineering by trying to imitate exactly what is there in the real world. I mean, you cannot even do physics that way. You have to model, and when you do modeling, you have to abstract. Newton's laws don't conform with, I mean, they predated quantum theory, okay? But they're supposed to be subsumed in quantum physics today, okay? But Newton was successful doing a lot of things with those approximate laws that he had a few centuries back. So we always abstract from reality some models, and we work with the models, and then we try to see if the answers you get from those models apply well to the reality by experimentation and by simulation. So what the way we approach this problem mathematically is, we say that when we are doing a large download of a large file, the base station, which is sitting in the tower, or that access point which is sitting on the wall, it has buffers in it. You know, it has memory, which act like buffers. I hope the word buffers is familiar. It has buffers in it. And what we assume is that the buffers are never empty. They never empty out. They're full buffers. Okay? This is a common model that is used when we are designing algorithms for applications like full buffer download, elastic downloads of video or of large amounts of data. Okay. Now, I talked about, so this is an approach that I'm encouraging people to use. It's a very classical approach, but people using it for doing what I'm suggesting one should do is not that common. So I talked about efficiency some time back. Okay. When you talk about efficiency of any system, you have to talk about the system's capacity. How much load can the system carry? Okay. If you have a truck, it can carry so many tons of load. And if you don't load the truck properly, if you load too much in the back or too much in the front, maybe it cannot carry that much load. You have to even out the load. So what is the efficiency of a system? The efficiency of a system is what fraction of the capacity you are able to load it up to while meeting the quality of service the system has to deliver. But for that, we need to have a notion of capacity. Okay? So in a wireless network, capacity is given by a curve like this. Okay? This has been drawn for a 5G system. There's a 5G base station. Nowadays, there's a lot of talk about having private 5G, that you will have a 5G network in your campus or in a factory. It's expensive right now, but in some time it may become affordable. So there's a 5G base station. You can think of it like that thing on the wall there. And there are two UEs. A UE is a term that is used in 5G for a station. Okay? And nowadays, even your phones have 5G modems in them. Suppose I have two phones sitting in this hall. There's a base station there. And suppose I want to tell somebody what are the rates at which I and the other person can download data, at what rate can download data. It turns out you can't achieve any arbitrary rate, obviously. But it's not even a rectangle. It's not that there's a rectangle and I can achieve 78 Mbps for both of us together. Sorry, 78 Mbps for me, I'm far from the base station, and 170 Mbps for you, you're close to the base station. Okay, it's not as if we can achieve a point here, which is the maximum rate for me and the maximum rate for them. And that is where the limitation of the wireless link comes in. The wireless link is being shared. It's not like the same spectrum is available for me and for them together at the same time. Spectrum is being shared. It's being shared in time. So it turns out that because of the statistics of the wireless communication, you may have come across the term Rayleigh fading or Nakagami fading. There are different statistics which are used for modeling the propagation between the base station and to me. Using a model for Nakagami fading or Rayleigh fading, we can actually plot mathematically a certain curve. This curve, which is called the rate region boundary, tells you what are the pairs of rates the two UEs can get, download rates. You can, of course, get 0. You can have one person getting 0, the other person getting their maximum rate. You can get the maximum rate for this person and nothing for this person. But then if you want both of them to operate together, you will need to operate somewhere in this region. No point outside can be achieved. Every point inside can be achieved, and the points in the boundary can all be achieved. This is a mathematical result coming from the statistics of the channel and certain mathematics which follows. Okay. Now, suppose that the person sitting near the base station and I'm far from the base station both want to download a large video, different videos perhaps from, say, the Netflix server or the YouTube server. Okay? Now, what rate should both of us get? We can, of course, have an inefficient algorithm putting us somewhere here where my pointer is. The algorithm is inefficient. Why is it inefficient? Well, both of us can improve. Both of us can go there. Okay? Both of us can improve even here, and both of us can be operating somewhere here. Okay? But now once you're on the boundary, where do you operate? In the boundary you can operate here. In the boundary you can operate here. Okay? Those of you who have come across some economic theory know about the term Pareto boundary. Pareto was an economist, an Italian economist. This is called the Pareto boundary for this capacity region. Okay? So essentially what we have to do is we have to find a point on the boundary where the two of us operate. And the scheduler that we design, we on the base station, the scheduler has to, without knowing the statistics, it does not know the mathematical formula for the statistics from there to here or from there to the person who's close by. Without doing that, it has to learn somehow and be able to achieve the point on the boundary that we wanted to operate at. How do we tell it where you want to operate at? We tell it by giving it an objective. Okay? That's why it's an optimization problem. The objective is achieve a certain utility. And I see that we're using economics term. Utility is an economics term, Pareto boundary is an economics term. I'm going to define a utility for the two of us. Utility, for example, log of throughput to me and log of throughput to that person. Summation of that log of two numbers, log of x plus log of y, that is the utility. So maximize log of x plus log of y while confining the rates to be on this boundary. It turns out that there'll be a point somewhere here, maybe somewhere here. It's called the proportional fair point. That is a term given to by the industry. Proportional fairness is a standard that is used by the cellular world as far back as 2000 when it was first invented in Qualcomm. And today the cellular world uses proportional fairness as a way to decide how much throughput each one of us will get while sharing the resources. I've shown you one curve. This curve is obtained mathematically. This curve was obtained by an experiment in a network that we have in our department. So here there are 3 UEs, and you can see one UE gets 250 as the maximum, one gets 270, and so on and so forth. Okay? So one interesting thing is, how do you take a physical setup with one base station and 3 UEs and come up with this curve? Getting this curve from an experiment is not easy. It requires some thinking, and maybe you can try to work it out. Okay. So now I have shown you here 3 possible operating points. One operating point is this. This operating point is what? This operating point says maximize the total throughput. The throughput that I get and the throughput that the other person who's closer to the base station gets, maximize that sum. It'll give you this point. Okay? The utility here is x plus y, that's all. This is the proportional fair throughput. The utility is log x plus log y. Okay? I'll ignore this point for a while. Okay? So depending upon the utility that you decide to use, you will get this point and that point. You can see what's the problem with this point. The problem with this point is it's unfair. It is giving too much throughput to this user simply because I want to maximize the sum throughput. This point is more fair. It's called proportional fair. So log tends to, log is like a compounding function. It tends to give less emphasis to large numbers and more emphasis to small numbers. Okay? So I'll skip all of this. So the problem was maximize summation I equal to 0 to n, that is the n users. Utility of a user is u. U is some function, could be just a linear function, could be a log function, over all the rate pairs inside the boundary. Okay. Now suppose you want to add one more constraint. You want to you begin to now ask questions that the operator will not ask. These are questions about applications wanting something a bit more than the plain old internet service. Now there's an application which comes and says, I don't want any old throughput. I want at least so much throughput. Okay? So you share the resources amongst all the users, but that user and that user, because maybe they are important applications in the factory, must get at least this throughput. What does it mean? What does it mean mathematically? What it means is I have now constrained my rate region from what it used to be to this orange area because I want the throughput of this UE to exceed 25. Okay? So in optimization terms, we have restricted the rate region to this little triangular region as opposed to the larger region. Now, how do you solve this problem? So the question is, how do you optimally solve these problems online where what you're only observing is how things are working based upon some action, really control problems. Okay, just move on. So I think I'm taking too much time, so I'm going to speed things up. Okay. So here's an algorithm that we have designed, it's patented now. So how does the system work? The system works that there are slots of time, 0.5 millisecond slots. This is how 5G actually works. In every slot, we have some information. So scheduling is a control problem. This control problem, why? You have information from the past. You have done something, you have taken certain actions, you have previous experiences, you have a current state. What is the current state? I know what rate each UE will get if I send data to it now. It's called MCS, Modulation and Encoding Scheme. If you have studied wireless, that's a very standard concept, modulation encoding scheme. Okay? 64 QAM or whatever, and you have some coding rate. Okay? So in every slot, the scheduler knows what MCS each of the users is supposed to get. The scheduler also knows what has been done so far. So given the past state, the past history, and the current state, the scheduler must take an action. What is the correct action to take? It turns out the correct action to take is this action. You take the rate that BK0 is the rate the user 0 will get if I transmit data to it. Theta 0 bar is a rate throughput that the user has already got. Okay, the user is getting 100 Mbps. I can get the rate right now of 200 Mbps. The other user is getting 50 Mbps so far. The current rate it can get is 70 Mbps. Okay, let's ignore this new K for a while. What I will do is I'll take the ratio of these two. So what am I doing? I'm favoring the user which is getting a higher rate, and I'm disfavoring the user which has already got a higher rate. Okay, so I'm sort of helping users who have got a low rate, and I am making sure my channel is not being inefficient. So if I compare these two and schedule the better one, that is going to give you that point which was the proportional fair point. Turns out it's very interesting mathematics. I don't have time for that. You can actually get that point. This algorithm is about 25 years old and is used in practice. What we did was we said, okay, now user 1 wants a rate guarantee. So we have to give it a boost. How do we give it a boost? We give it a boost by adding a number. You see, it's new K. It's not just a number new. The new K is dynamically chosen by adding a number. That number is added to 1 over theta, and it's just right to give it that push so that the point of operation moves from here to here. And that's the best point to operate at, it turns out, again mathematically. If you have heard about the Karush-Kuntaga conditions, KKT conditions or optimization, you can show that this point satisfies the KKT conditions. And optimization is something that all engineers should take as a course. Okay, so this is one way of adding a number and getting a boost for that particular UE. What is this number? This number is the Lagrange multiplier. So again, optimization theory tells us what this number is a Lagrange multiplier. And the Lagrange multiplier is obtained by this expression, where you essentially take the old Lagrange multiplier, and if the current rate is more than the target rate, you reduce it because that's a negative number. Beta is a small number. And if the current rate is less than the target rate, you increase the number. So you're essentially giving an adaptive Lagrange multiplier, which is serving as a boost to the traditional algorithm. Okay, so I think that I can show you what happens. I'll just show you one simulation. So this is the same rate region for 2 UEs. Suppose there is no rate guarantee, and this is time, and this is the rate they get. You begin at some point, say 200 and something Mbps each, and you run the algorithm. The algorithm does not know the rate region. The rate region is not given to it as a function. It's learning, and it learns, and it gets the right rate. this rate pair that it gets is exactly this. It fluctuates because there's noise. Now I want to push the rate of this UE to 150. Okay, I now begin to add that new K, and turns out that the rate gets pushed to 150 from having a lower rate. So it was earlier at 110, and it got pushed to 150. Of course, as you say, there's no free lunch. The other user must go down, and the Lagrange multiplier becomes positive. It was earlier 0. You can push the rate to 170 also. Again, the Lagrange multiplier gets larger. That UE's rate gets to 170, and so on. Okay? So the algorithm works very well. It's efficient, and it achieves the objectives. Okay, I'll skip this because we're short of time. Okay, so I think I will even skip this because I'm short of time. I'll just say what we are doing here. Okay, let me get to this point. Now, until we began to look at the problem was being solved the way I've just told you. One thing that neither the industry nor researchers were doing is that when you schedule something, well, when you schedule something, you don't know what the channel actually is at that time. You only have an estimate of the rate that the user should get. The channel at that time is a random process. It's unknown to you. You send some data, it can get lost. So how do you incorporate the probability of loss of data in the algorithm? So we were able to design the algorithm, again, very mathematically, to be adaptive to the probability of loss. Again, nothing is given, you keep learning. So the algorithm now gets modified like this. This is called loss adaptive scheduler. Earlier I said that we take the rate the user will get now, divide by the throughput that the user has got so far. We subtract from the rate a number. Okay, this is an optimal algorithm. Okay, a number. That number somehow accounts for the loss probability. That is the rate that I will get when I send the data is not exactly the rate the user thinks it will get. It will get a lower rate. Okay, so one can actually design the algorithm, and this algorithm accounts for the unknown probability of packet loss in a proportional fair scheduler. All right. Now, this is the 5G test lab in our institute. It's much bigger now. This was 2-3 years back. You can see that here's a 5G base station, here's a 5G radio, that one there, the 5G radio. And you can see here small 2 phones sitting out here on top of equipment. They are the 2 UEs. And it is with this experimental setup that we can draw these curves, these rate region curves. The rate region curve, if you do not use the algorithm for loss adaptation is this curve. The rate region curve, if you use our algorithm, is larger. That means that we have actually been able to extract more performance from the same system by simply adapting the algorithm to losses. Okay? So I'll just stop there on that particular point. It takes too much time. In fact, what we've got is a 5% increase in capacity. The 5% increase in capacity by simply a software change is significant, because now if you ask Airtel or Jio, they'll be very happy to even get a 1% increase in capacity. It's a substantial improvement for their revenue. Okay? And it is done not by changing the radios or the physical layer. It's being done by changing the way you're scheduling. And efficient scheduling is key to getting more performance. I'll skip all of this. We did an experiment also. Let me just come here. I'll go here, that we put 2 UEs in the room. One UE was given a 200 Mbps rate guarantee. The other UE is moving around. And except for one place, the other UE kept on getting 200 Mbps, no matter where the other UE went. Okay? So this is the reasons for this happening, and I won't spend time on that now. Okay. I think I'll skip this. Okay, I'll just tell you the problem, and then I'll go to another area. Now, I talked about the problem earlier. Okay, it's going to be very difficult if I'm going to have one wireless network for each application. I'm going to have one wireless network for robotics, one wireless network for voice, and one wireless network for video. It won't work that way. It's really not the right thing to do. You could do it. Many years back, when I was a new faculty member in IISc, we had a network for CCTV cameras, and we had a network for telephony, we had a PBX, I think some people still have PBXs, and we had one network for internet access. All that is gone. Today, you have to have one network sharing everything. It's a multi-service networking era. Not now, but a few years back. So now suppose I have a 5G system, base station, and I want to do two things on that. Just two things right now. I want to do what I've talked about. I have these large files being transferred, so it is full buffer elastic. Same time, I want to handle voice. So sorry, that's full buffer elastic is here. This is voice. What does voice do? Voice packets come one by one, 20 milliseconds apart. And they can't tolerate delay. You have to deliver a voice packet in 20 milliseconds. So now you're mixing up two kinds of traffic in the same wireless system. One is traffic which is very demanding of latency, but the traffic volume is very small. One traffic which is very demanding of resources. And they have large volume, but the delay requirement is very small. So two opposing, two parts of the spectrum. That's what I'm showing you here. Now I'll just, I won't spend time on all the details. I'll just show you maybe one plot and leave it at that. Which plot should I show? Okay, I'll just show you this plot. Okay, so this is the rate, now you understand rate regions. This is the rate region for the downloads, that is the full buffer elastic, if there was no voice. You can see this user alone got 60 Mbps, this user alone got 110 Mbps. If you throw in voice, the rate region shrinks drastically. And that's very interesting. The total amount of voice load on the system, I think I remember, is about 2 Mbps. But putting that voice onto the system loses about 20 Mbps and about 20 Mbps, about 40 Mbps here. Why is that happening? This is the algorithm that operators use today. Okay, there's certain reasons for that. Okay, and this is the algorithm that we are proposing that they use. You can see the huge improvement in the efficiency of the network. I only have a shrinkage of maybe about 10%, and we are able to get voice packets through. And okay, so there are two lessons out here. One lesson out here is more demanding applications will make you lose resources. Are less use resources inefficiently. Somehow you have to waste resources to handle them. It's always the case, right? The ambulance, if it has to be pushed through, people have to stop, right? So you are essentially wasting the road's time by letting an ambulance through. So when when you have demand which is immediate, even if it's small, one ambulance moving through, suddenly resources have to be restricted for others. Okay, but even that can be done in an efficient way. Maybe the ambulances can be handled in an efficient way on our streets. They're not handled properly. So anyway, coming back to voice, this is the way the industry handles voice. There are, of course, imperatives there which we can help change. We are trying to do that in our 5G implementation, but one can actually do that. Now, again, the question is, how do we convert this mathematical algorithm into something practical? We have done that, and now we are implementing it on the system that we have, which I showed you a picture of. Okay, maybe in the last 10 minutes, I will talk about another technology, which perhaps most of you are more familiar with, may have also experimented with, Wi-Fi. Now, Wi-Fi is a technology that all of us have learned is just there to access the internet. But the point is that I'm sure that Mahe has many Wi-Fi networks and probably no 5G network. Maybe you have one 5G network. Is there a 5G network here in Mahe? There is one? Oh, no, not from Airtel, your own 5G network. Huh? You don't? Okay, so there it is. So you have probably spent crores on Wi-Fi. We have spent crores on Wi-Fi. But maybe you have spent maybe a lakh or 2 or 3 lakhs on getting a small 5G toy in the lab to play with. Okay? So clearly, Wi-Fi is rolled out. I don't remember the numbers, some $1 trillion of Wi-Fi is rolled out every year. But 5G is in gestation period, is still coming out. And there are a lot of controversies about what it can really end up doing. So why not utilize Wi-Fi for the applications I was talking about earlier, which are more demanding, but which you don't seem to think Wi-Fi will work for. Okay? So this is often called TSN, time-sensitive networking, because you're concerned about sensitivity of applications which require hard delays. So of course the applications are here for you to see. Interestingly, 3GPP, which is the standardization body that standardizes 5G, also came up in 2022 with a whole list of applications. Every row here is an application in the factory. For example, there's an application here for what's called an operation panel. So you would even have one of those displays with buttons and all that and some LED display on wireless. Because it's convenient for the factory to not wire up everything. So you have a control, you have an operator panel attached to the factory on wireless. What requirements do you have there? The requirements are given here. What is the end-to-end latency requirement? What is the number of bits that the application gives you in each packet, per second, how often they come, and so on and so forth. Okay? So every application, there are about 30 or 40 pages of these things which are defined out there. Now, if they're defined by 3GPP, somebody should go and build the software to achieve that. It may happen over time. So I'll skip all of this. So what we did first was we set up a Wi-Fi network. This is all experimental work in our lab. And so this is an experiment that all of you could try. We set up an access point. This is my office. Been in my office for 37 years. This is my office. This is my lab. And some of the students and all sit around here. So this is an access point with 2 stations. This is an AP with 2 stations. Okay, it's like the boxes that you see there. What's interesting about this deployment is, and this is something which you often don't realize, is that when this access point sends data to this station, the signal that it is sending is also heard here. Okay, there's nothing which restricts that signal. The signal also goes here. And if at the same time this AP is sending to this station, that signal has interference. Interference is a very key problem in wireless. On the other hand, if this AP sends data to this station, then and if the AP sends data to this station, these APs are too far apart, and the signal from here doesn't reach here with any amount of strength, which is of concern. Okay? In this setup, what is a good way of operating the network? Okay, let me just show you. So here's the setup on the top. Same setup, I'm just drawn a smaller diagram. Suppose that I operated this laptop all by itself. This laptop is alone downloading data from some server. It gets a very healthy throughput, 108 Mbps. If I operate this laptop by itself, it gets 94 Mbps, and so on and so forth. So by themselves, the laptops are getting very healthy throughput. We'll all be happy with that kind of throughput available to a laptop or to a phone. I put them all together. Let's suppose all 4 laptops are browsing the internet, downloading large data. Look what happens to the middle laptops. They drop from 94 to 2, 97 to 7. The reason is interference. When we are transferring data from here to here, the interference also hits this laptop, and similarly here, it becomes very bad. So we have designed a scheduler. We have designed our own scheduler. It actually is not a part of the APs. APs, unfortunately, are closed environment. We can't go and modify anything there. We wish we could, but we can't modify anything there. We built our own scheduler outside. This is what it achieves. Okay. Now, I talked about utility earlier. Utility is a number which will allow you to encapsulate the performance of a whole network in one number. It is useful to have rather than compare 100 numbers, you can compare one number. Utility, you can mathematically find what the utility bound, what's the maximum you can get, 14.42. The utility that Wi-Fi alone by itself gets is 11.46. We can get 14.1. Not bad. This is a logarithmic scale. A logarithmic scale can compress large numbers into small numbers. So this is a big difference between this and this. Okay, I'll skip the last line. They're very important, but I will skip them because I don't have time for that. Now look at video. So I am downloading data from the internet to this laptop, internet to this laptop. At the same time, I have a Teams call. And in the Teams call, I'm being shown a Top Gun video. Look what happens. Wi-Fi will give you this. Our system can give this. Very high quality video on the right, very poor quality video, on the left, and good quality video on the right. So something again is happening here. The interference from here goes here, interference from here goes here, and there's no way Wi-Fi has to manage that. Okay? So what we have designed is we have designed a a computer, I mean, the computer is not designed by us, we have designed software on the computer which schedules the whole network. Okay? The way it schedules the whole network is it holds back data and it does a certain on-off scheduling, and because I don't have time, I probably won't be able to explain that to you. Essentially, you can imagine that there are switches, yeah, which you have at your control. Okay? If there's a room with 10 people talking, all talking together, it's a big mess. Suppose there is a chairperson, and here's a switch. The switch can say, okay, you and you go, you finish your conversation. You and you go, you finish your conversation. Don't all keep talking at the same time. Well, Wi-Fi is like, although Wi-Fi has CSMA, CA, but Wi-Fi, the CSMA, CA, when there are many people, causes a lot of mess, including complete unawareness of interference. Okay? So you may think that there are two people there talking to each other, two talking to each other here, but the sound goes back and forth between them. They are unable to talk, they are unable to understand each other. That CSMA does not know anything about. But if there could be a chair who could orchestrate the two, you two talk, you two talk, you two talk, you two talk, then you could actually get a much better performance. Okay? So we can do that. Unfortunately, the APs today don't have a facility to switch things off and on dynamically. We have 20 millisecond period during which we do the switching. You will sort of orchestrate who can talk to each other. When two persons talk, they can interrupt each other. That's okay. But if four persons talk, the crosstalk can be very bad, so you avoid that. Now the question is, this is what we began our work about a year back. Wi-Fi was designed for plain old internet service. Even that we've improved. We've improved the performance of Wi-Fi for bulk transfer, performance of Wi-Fi for video. Even that we could improve. What about these services like robot control, camera, uplink camera transfer, surveillance cameras, robots that have cameras and they also want to be controlled, so on and so forth? Well, so I won't spend time on how we did this, but let me show you one because we're out of time. So what we did was, this is also fun to see how we did this, something that a very good project can be done by master's students. You can buy this in the market. The company called Pololu, it's a company based somewhere in Arizona in the US. It's what is called a self-balancing robot. Okay? This has on the robot, it has what's called an Arduino board. An Arduino is a single board computer. The Arduino board is visible here. On top of that, we put another board, a Raspberry Pi board. That's the Raspberry Pi board. And then we pulled off all the control calculation from the Arduino to the Raspberry Pi. Okay? Now all the Arduino is doing is, it has gyroscope, it is able to sense it's a vertical pendulum. The vertical pendulum should stay vertical. It should not fall. Okay? And the way this vertical pendulum stays vertical is, it uses the wheel to keep pushing itself back and forth and to keep it vertical. So it needs measurements of the wheel angle, measurements of the pendulum angle. So it measures that. And then motor actuation. So we leave these two on the Arduino board. We pull everything out from there on Raspberry Pi. The control is there, and now there's Wi-Fi available. Okay? I want to experiment with what happens if you now do this measurement and control loop on Wi-Fi. Okay? What happens if you do that? Now, one thing that we can do with putting this on the Arduino board, we can experiment as if Wi-Fi is already there. Because on the Arduino board, we can program it to create the Wi-Fi delays. A measurement comes, we enforce a delay and push the delayed measurement to the controller, it pushes the control back. We can experiment with that. We can see how much delay in the control loop the robot can tolerate and how much delay, beyond what delay it can't tolerate. Okay? So, maybe I'll skip this also okay, actually, I think that's it. This is the slide I want to show you. Okay. Sorry. Why are the videos playing? The videos are not playing here. Okay, yeah. I don't know how you huh? This one will only play this video. laptop I have. Oops. I should have brought my laptop. Anyway, so I'll just tell you what happens. So, what we're trying to do is we are trying to mix bulk transfer with this very tight latency requirement of the robot. Okay, so there is one computer which is downloading data, and there's a robot which is attached to the same access point. Imagine that access point, there's a robot here, and there's a bulk. It's fun to watch what the robot does, but unfortunately I'm not able to play it. So you can see that when there is no bulk data transfer, you get about a 4 millisecond round trip delay. You see, this is 3, this is 4, this is time. And there are occasional delays which are larger. This is over Wi-Fi. This is actually over Wi-Fi. So there is the gyroscope measurements are sent over Wi-Fi, and they come back. 4 milliseconds is sufficient. This robot balances perfectly fine. On the other hand, the moment you put Wi-Fi with a bulk transfer, delays shoot up. Look at this, 20 milliseconds, 30 milliseconds. And if you were able to see the robot, you'll find the robot balances for a while, then it drops and it moves away. So is unable. Let me try once more and see whether I can do it. No, I'm not able to play it. Let's try this. Let me just come out of the. Okay. Okay, doesn't matter. I think we are running out of time. So now what we did was we put our own box on the way. That is, we put our scheduler on the way. This is a Linux box containing some algorithms. And now you can see the delays now. The delays are able to stay around 4 milliseconds in spite of having a laptop downloading data. So now, along with TCP transfers, there's bulk transfer. The robot is able to balance. If the video was working, I would have been able to show you that. Unfortunately, even this video is not working on this. Maybe this one. No. Okay. So I won't. And you can see that the delay, the 1 in 1,000 delays are more than 27 milliseconds, which is adequate. Occasionally, delay does go up, but the robot stays balanced. It's able to. There it is. Okay, somehow it worked there. So this is how the robot balances. In spite of the TCP transfer, you can see it stays in one place and keeps balancing. If the delay becomes too much, it begins to wobble, and then it falls and moves away. This is the same principle if you want to build a humanoid robot. A humanoid robot, we don't realize that, but humans are also vertical pendulum. Okay? We have to balance, otherwise we fall. So a humanoid robot, this is the biggest problem. So if you want to run a humanoid robot on wireless, one has to solve this problem. And so that's happens. Okay? So many applications need to communicate over wireless. Industry 4.0 requires a lot of wireless video surveillance. Concert hall audio, this is something I had forgotten, that there's a need to be able to connect speakers in a concert hall without wires. It's a big problem to lay wires for all the speakers. And microphones, now the microphones are also put on the top. Now you can imagine if the speakers, if you have stereo sound and the two speakers have different wireless delays, even milliseconds, it'll be very bad for the ears. You won't be able to understand anything. You'll get repetition and distortion. So concert hall wireless is a very important application. Wireless ICU. Okay. So these would typically be private networks. Airtel and Jio won't make money on this. I showed you there. The moment you have demanding applications, your capacity falls. And you probably won't be able to charge as much as one charges to give your monthly internet service from Airtel. So I don't think that Airtel and Jio, unless they have some special business needs of their own, will give this as a public service. It's something which a factory or an enterprise will have to, or a hospital will have to build their own cells, or somebody has to build it for them. But it requires many difficult issues to be addressed. One difficult issue which I have not addressed here is admission control. How do you know what will work together? I already have 10 robots working. Can I add one more robot? Okay? Can I take 2 robots away and add this more complicated robot? Okay? Who will tell me that? So dynamic ability to be able to modify the traffic, admission control, and so on and so forth. Can we have a factory in which you have mostly Wi-Fi? It's affordable. By the way, Wi-Fi is faster than 5G. Today, Wi-Fi gives you 45 Gbps. 5G's maximum speed is 10 Gbps. Okay? In fact, 1 Gbps is the most common speed you get in private Wi-Fi. That's because your mobility, you have long distances and all, it's meant for outside. But the standard only supports that much. You can get 45 Gbps from Wi-Fi. So what about, but there are certain advantages to 5G, which one can explain. So what about if you buy 1.5 lakhs 5G network for the factory, and you buy 100, maybe 20 or 30 APs. This cost about half a lakh, even a high-end AP. 1 lakh gets you 20 APs. 1.5 lakh gets you only one 5G base station. So what if you combine the two? And how do you combine the two? So now you have one combined wireless network. You have to assign applications to both. You have to have handovers and so on and so forth. It's a complicated question. So it's a rich area. If you're interested in experimenting with wireless, if you're interested in developing algorithms, very rich area to work with. And many of these things, standards will not tell you how to do because they are differentiators. There's something the companies will have to do. So thank you very much. I think I have slightly gone beyond time, but I hope it was of use to you. If there are any questions, I can try to answer a couple. It'll be 12:30 then, I should go.
Does anybody have any question? Yes, sir.
Yeah, I think there's a question there.
Thank you. At numerous occasions in your talk, you talked about this 20 millisecond sampling time. And I was wondering, is there a physical, sort of a larger argument for the 20 milliseconds?
So,
or is it faster than the times that you're talking about?
As you probably know, and many people know, the voice sampling is not done at 20 milliseconds. Typically, voice is band limited to 4 kilohertz. And using Nyquist formula, we sample it at 8 kilohertz. That is the rate at which voice is sampled. So you get analog voice from the microphone. Then the microphone signals are sent to a sampler. The sampler will sample at 8 kilobits per second. Sorry, 8 kilohertz. 8,000 samples per second. Each sample is typically converted into 8 bits, let us say. So you get 64 kilobits per second out from there. But you don't send 64 kilobits per second bit by bit over the internet. You packetize it. And the packetization duration is 20 milliseconds. Okay? So 20 milliseconds is the rate at which you send packets.
Got it.
You take 20 milliseconds of voice, packetize it and send it. But even there, you don't send all of the voice. You actually encode it to be able to reduce even 64K down to 20 kbps or 13 kbps because wireless is expensive. So 20 milliseconds is only the packetization rate, not the sampling rate.
Thank you. I wasn't aware of that, Tushar.
Yeah.
Could I ask one more question, if it's okay? That was when you talked about the Lagrange multiplier, the nu of k term.
Yeah.
That updation happens at what rate?
So that's a good question. This is an algorithm in which both algorithms run at the same rate, so 20 milliseconds, sorry, half millisecond. In 5G, the slot time is half millisecond. So every half millisecond, you update the schedule and you also update the Lagrange multiplier.
I see.
At the same rate. But there's an interesting thing there, since you asked the question, I will dwell on it maybe for a minute. It's mathematically very cute. Here. So you'll notice that the throughput update formula has an alpha in it. Okay, so you update based upon, you're averaging at the rate alpha. The Lagrange multiplier update has a number beta in it. It turns out that beta is much smaller than alpha. So you actually are, although you are updating the Lagrange multiplier every half millisecond, the updation rate is actually smaller. But it's saying that every half millisecond, the amount of update you make is small.
All right.
So
Thank you.
effectively, it's like two time scales, a fast scale and a slow scale.
Now, I mean, you were telling earlier that in Amazon, entire process is, I also have seen that video, that robots actually work there in warehouse to pick and place the product. And these robots, are they wireless controlled or
how else would it be? I mean, if you've seen those things, you can imagine wires on the factory floor, I mean on the warehouse floor, and the robots have to move back and forth. It'll be very difficult to have a wire on every robot, and then maybe they have wires hanging from the top, but the ultimate dream is to have wireless. I've actually had people come to me when I make a presentation like this that, when will the industry have something which actually can let Wi-Fi perform much better? What they find is that at least the people who spoke to me in Bangalore, the robot suddenly stops on the way, loses connection. Robots, so it doesn't work very well. Amazon may have done something which is special, for their application. They have enough money to be able to spend on that. But wires are not practical in the longer run, even if they're used now.
Yeah, true. But today's automated, workflows, where their robots, most of them are wired.
The robots that are still, like for example, the robot you see in car factories,
the arm movement.
They're painting, they're welding. Those robots are still. They will, of course, because they're very, they have to do very hard work. They require power. So there will be a power cable coming from somewhere. That power cable will be able to also carry with it wireline communication. There's something called power over Ethernet. The Ethernet cables that carry power also. So that's fine. But robots that are moving around, they have to be recharged after some time. They have batteries in them. They're not like humanoid. They're just boxes with an arm. So probably the box is mostly a battery.
Yeah, when there are multiple robots, probably scheduling plays a key role, and that is a challenge today. I think we can think of when there are multiple robots which have to collaborate for covering the large area in a warehouse. So
scheduling will play a key role not only in wireless, also scheduling will play a key role in the physical movement. You see, this is a picture I've taken from this paper, and you can see that the robots, they're carrying things on them, supposed to indicate. So the machine manufactures something, keeps it there. The machine is manufacturing something, and the robots are carrying it back and forth in the factory from manufacturing point to a different manufacturing point.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, fine. Thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you, sir. Thank you very much for the enlightening session. May I now request Dr. Jayalakshmi N.S., Professor and Head of the Department of Electrical and Electronics Engineering, to present a token of appreciation and gratitude to Dr. Anurag Kumar. Thank you, madam. Thank you, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, with this we come to the end of today's session. Research exhibition has been organized at AB1 MIT Quadrangle. We encourage you all to visit the stalls for an interactive experience of the research happenings at MIT. Further, tomorrow at 9:30 a.m. at this very venue, panel discussions of futuristic topics are scheduled. The information was provided earlier in the inauguration session as well. We encourage you all to participate in the same. Thank you all for joining us here today. Have a good day.